I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Matt, once again, welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, this time from Gunnel. Thank you so much. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, commentaries, randomness, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, whatever, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Hostel. As it says, Quentin Tarantino presents Hostel. Tarantino. If I learn how to talk, Quentin Tarantino presents Hostel, written and directed by Eli Roth. No, I don't think it's the scariest movie in a decade. Ain't it cool news? I don't hate this film. I don't mind it overall. I think the ending saves it quite a bit, and then the sequel ruins that. But I do think the finale, I like the action revenge portion of that ending. That did save the movie for me. I don't think the acting is bad. I think the acting is good. It's just the way they're written. Because Eli Roth is not much of a writer. Because Eli Roth writing is like a frat boy writing a script, especially in these early days. Now, there's some of his films I don't mind. I like Death Wish with Bruce Willis. I know a lot of people don't. I liked that movie. I liked that remake. But Green Inferno, Knock Knock, not a fan. Cabin Fever, I used to like back in the day. I don't think that really holds up. I think the idea holds up, which is funny because they remade it and it was even worse. The idea of having a cabin in the woods horror story, but instead of it being a hillbilly or demons. So it's not Friday the 13th, it's not Evil Dead, it's a flesh-eating virus. I like that idea. Ryder Strong, I thought his acting was fine as the lead. But, again, the way that movie was written, the characters' decisions, what they do, which was part of the purpose was to make them do dumb shit because it just makes things worse and worse, and that was the point, but at the same time, it's just so frustrating, and then the way the characters act, they come off as douchebags. So you're going, do I really like anybody? Am I supposed to like anybody? And that's kind of the case in this. Only, like I said, I think the third act saved it. I don't mind the idea. Here it's three backpackers, two of them are Americans. They're going across Europe. Some guy tells them, hey, I know this hostel in Slovakia, beautiful women. These three go there. And they come to find out that this hostel, people will pay huge amounts of money to be able to torture, murder someone for their own fun. And I don't think the movie's scary, but I don't mind the idea. And I don't mind, like, see, the actors, Jay Hernandez becomes our lead. This guy here, I like him as an actor. I know he's on the new Magnum P.I. TV show. He's the lead character. He's been in quite a few films after this, and I don't think his acting is bad. I really don't. The way the character's written, that's another thing. His buddy Dixon, he played the young Jeff in Dumb and Dumberer when Harry Met Lloyd, when they did the Dumb and Dumber prequel. He played the young Harry, the Jeff Daniels character. And his acting is not bad here. Some of the villains, like this guy who's the Dutch businessman, this other guy who, I think is Rick Hoffman is the actor's name, who Jay Hernandez meets as the guy's ready to go do some business that he paid for, and he's getting all hyped up, and he's the American. He's like, should I do it quick? No, fuck that. I'm not gonna do it quick. Come on, motherfucker. That's what I always thought of. He's the come on, motherfucker guy. I believe the actor's name is Rick Hoffman. So I think there's good acting and there's good moments. In particular the third act. And it's one of those movies that it's not badly made cinematography-wise. It's definitely a time where a movie to go into theaters that have nudity. As they're having fun in Europe, you see a lot of tits. Because they're going from hostel to hostel. But one of the flaws is, like I said, Eli Roth is a horrible writer. I think he's okay as a director. I really do. I mean, even certain ideas, the beginning of Cabin Fever, the very opening credits. Now, I don't know if he directed that portion, as in he told what to do, what not to do, but he's the director. I would think he would come up with some idea, or at least give the final A-OK with it. The opening credits of Cabin Fever, where you see everything kind of being rotted and being infested. Like, imagine if like an opening credits being rotted down, which makes sense because there's a flesh-eating disease idea. So again, I don't think this is direction that's a problem. It's the way he writes the movies. Same with Knock Knock. Same with Cabin Fever. Same bit with here. He makes characters either do really stupid decisions or they just come off as fucking annoying douchebags. I mean, these three guys, you're thinking, why should I care about these guys? They're saying lines like, oh, this is a wall-to-wall cockfest. Oh, I hope bestiality is legal in Amsterdam because that girl's a fucking hog. And the girl didn't do anything to him. So I'm like, these guys are fucking unlikable pricks. Oh, look at me, I have the smoothest balls in Iceland. These guys are just too obnoxious and too just frat boy futt faces. And you're with them and you're like, why should I hang out with these guys? It's not like the backpackers in An American Werewolf in London, where you like those two guys. So when one dies, you feel really bad for him, and the other gets bit by a werewolf, you feel bad for him. But here, not really. Again, they're just obnoxious, they're annoying, they're douchey. They're the three musketeers of douchebaggery. And I swear half of Jay Hernandez's dialogue is calling his friend gay. Hey, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay. He says the word that rhymes with maggot. I'm not going to say it. And it just... that's like half of Jay Hernandez's dialogue. And again, I would like... Considering Eli Roth has 4 commentary tracks. That's another thing I found hilarious in his early movies. He would make like 4 or 5 fucking commentary tracks, and he was like on each one of them. So like this. And the reason I got the DVD is because one of them has Quentin Tarantino. Since the executive produced it, him and Scott Speedle are on the commentary. Director's executive producer's commentary. You also have director's commentary with Eli Roth himself, director and producer's commentary, director and guest commentary, including Harry Knowles from Intercool News, which apparently he's a bit scummy as well, so he got kind of kicked off his own website. I don't know if he is anymore, but he was for a bit. 4 commentary tracks. Like, did this really need 4 fucking Like, this is such an exquisite piece of art. It needed 4 commentary tracks to explain the depths of Hostel. Fucking Halloween doesn't have 4 commentary tracks. I mean, I guess technically Dawn of the Dead, but at least they're different cuts of the film. And it's not even 4. Well, I guess technically it's 4, because if you add the old one. But at least they're talking about different cuts of the movie. Like the actors talk, I mean, but that's George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. At least that's something, but anyway. Yeah, back to this. And so the three get there in Slovakia. They're loving this hostel place. Then their friend Ollie goes missing. And then you have this misdirection. Who you think is the lead is not really the lead. And person dies. And there's some, I thought, pretty decent gore by Nicotero and company. Was it Nicotero Murder? It's not the full TMB. It's just the NMB portion. And the score, I can't remember much about the music. I actually remember liking the music in Cabin Fever. I remember the music in Cabin Fever actually being pretty decent or interesting, quirky at times. I did like the music to that one. This one, I don't remember much about the score. But yeah, there's some decent shots, decent direction moments that get more into spoilers. That's the misdirection I can appreciate, where you think you're with Derek Richardson, but then no, he gets killed, and now you're left with Jay Hernandez. And the way Eli Roth explains it is, oh, now you're left with this guy who you're not really liking. So now you're an audience member left with a guy who you weren't really a big fan of, and you're discombobulated like him. And I'm thinking, Eli, that's not really how a lot of people felt. If you made the guy likable, but he's likable, but he'll be the first or second to die. When that's not the case, people would still feel the same way. Only they would care more about the character because they want to root for him more so than this. Now again, by the third act, I think the character at least does prove himself because he's able to save his own ass. He tries to help someone. By his actions, he became likable to me. Not so much his verbiage. And yeah, I don't blame Jay Hernandez. I blame Eli Roth. Some of his shitty writing of dialogue. Just the douchebag, central frat boy. I'll bestiality's Lido. That goes fucking hard. I'm like, fuck you. And that reaction. But yeah, there's some decent gore gags. One guy gets his Achilles tendon cut. Actually, on both feet. Like the back of your, like right above your heel, your Achilles tendon. That gets cut. And when the guy tries to stand up, it gives way. Headshot, pretty good graphic headshot. One guy trips and his chainsaw falls on his own leg, chopping his own leg off. Fingers getting cut off, throat slits. Again, decent gore. The way Eli Roth directs the setting, there's some good looking shots. There's the bit where Jay Hernandez goes into this place that looks like a rundown big ass factory. And you get this like wide shot that shows the decay of the area as Jay Hernandez just walks along. And you definitely get the grim and gritty feel of this death chamber, chamber of chambers that Jay Hernandez has entered for the third act. It really is the third act that makes me not mind the film. But then the sequel fucked that up, but I just ignored the sequel. If it wasn't for the third act, this would be a rant. Because the first 2/3, you're just with three unlikable guys, and one guy got killed off screen. Okay, one guy gets killed, whatever. I mean, the only thing you really get about Derek Richardson's character is that he might be gay, or there might be something to it, because at one point they're riding in a train car, and this guy, the Dutch businessman, he puts his hand on the guy's leg, and the guy freaks out, and then later meets up with the guy at a bar, apologizes, and then Derek Richardson puts his hand on the guy's leg. And you're going, well, what the fuck? Is this like he's gay and he's in the closet, or he's not wanting to admit it, or whatever the cases be? Nothing's really explored with that, whether it needs to be explored or not. And then Jay Hernandez, this gay is gay. It's just, again, more clever or intriguing or interesting or better writing. But again, the extra spoilers, the third act, when Jay Hernandez is caught and he's being fucked with, some of his fingers get cut off, and then boom, the guy trips on Jay Hernandez's fingers that he cut off because he's new to this, cuts his own leg off, headshots here, headshot there. And when it becomes this escape movie / revenge movie, that's more my cup of tea than just torture porn. I'm not a fan of torture porn. And a lot of this could be construed as torture porn, rightfully so. That's not really my type of movie. But I could deal with this movie. I like the first Saw film, but it's not really a genre I gravitate towards. It's just not. If I want to watch that, I'd just rather watch a slasher film, or even like a creature feature film, something to that nature. But I guess because now the third act, things really get in gear and really start rolling, and characters are being proactive. The first 2/3 is kind of this lollygagging around, going to a girl, lollygagging around some more. Dialogue that's not really that memorable or funny. And you're like, okay, you're just waiting for the shit to hit the fan. You're waiting for maybe some gore. Okay, now things are actually happening. Characters are actually doing something. Your main character's actually being proactive. And it becomes this finale that's like a revenge movie. And again, Eli Roth as a director, I don't think he's that bad. Even the bit where there's a point where Jay Hernandez is hiding amongst these bodies on a trolley, and this guy's tearing the trolley around. When it stops, he looks around and he sees his friend, Derek Richardson, dead. And this other guy, this bad guy's chopping stuff. And each time you hear the chop, it cuts. So chop, it cuts to Jay Hernandez. You hear a chop, it cuts to Derek Richardson. Chop, cuts to a wider shot of the two. Chop. Okay, that's pretty nice. That's pretty neat. To do the edits with the chopping sound that the bad guy over there is doing. That was I thought, a pretty decent idea. And at least with Jay Hernandez, because he's being proactive, because he's actually doing stuff. I like the bit with him and the American businessman. Yeah, I believe that's the... What was his name? Rick Hoffman? The guy who... How did it feel? How did you do it? Oh, and he's really hyped up, and he's like, quick? Yeah, I'll do it quick. No, fuck that. I don't want to do it quick. I want to do this and that. No, fuck that. I'm going to do it with my hands. Oh, come on, motherfucker. Come at me. just how deranged and crazy this guy is who paid for this. And then Jay Hernandez, I thought his acting was good. He's a guy who has to keep it cool. He's got to play it smart so the guy doesn't realize who he is. So he's just, I thought he played it cool and he was still scared and out of it, but he doesn't want the guy to realize that he's a escapee. And you wonder, is the guy going to find out he isn't who he says he is? That's one of the few like tense moments that I thought works rather well. Again, I thought the acting was pretty decent in that, between the two. And also that he tries to help. There's this other lady who's an Asian lady, and she's been hurt. Great. The makeup isn't bad, but the idea that, I don't know, just something about it looked goofy. I don't know what it is. I think because like she's been drilled or something, and so her eyeball is hanging out, and then Jay Hernandez has to cut it off, and you see all this pus shoot out. I don't know, it seemed like something out of like Evil Dead 2, like on the verge of, even though it shouldn't be fun. I don't know, just that seemed like something that didn't quite work with the rest of the tone of the movie. I don't know. I don't know what it is about that. But the people that you truly hate, it's like to see them get a nice comeuppance. Like these fucking bitches that rode these guys up the Hershey Highway of Death. They get hit by Jay Hernandez, runs them over with a car. Like, yeah, fuck you. Fuck all yous. Or this weird dealing with these kids. I think the nickname is the Bubblegum Gang. He gives them food. Gives them bubblegum, able to get a pass. And then these other bad guys try to fuck with the kids, and the kids kill them instead. Like I said, there was some interesting ideas, like this group of kids that are like 10, 12 years old, killing people for the price of bubblegum. Again, not, an idea you see every day. Or the fact that Jay Hernandez saves his girl. And I will give Eli Roth credit. He does, much earlier in the film, bring up a piece of dialogue. Jay Hernandez is talking to Derek Richardson, and Jay Hernandez brings up this story about how he heard this scream, and this girl was drowning, and he went to get help, but by the time that came back, the girl was dead, and he wonders, like, if he had just gone over, maybe he could have saved her. This is why, when he hears screaming, he tries to go back to save her. This one. But the idea that this Asian lady then looks in the mirror and she's so out of it, and we'll call it vanity, whatever it is. Like she realizes she looks fucked up, that she decides to kill herself instead. Again, not an idea you see every day. And then he escapes. He sees the businessman on the train. Gets the revenge on him. Cuts his fingers off. Slits his throat. And you're like, okay, that's satisfying. That's satisfying. The people who you want to get their just desserts did. The fucking bitches that led them to... two of them their death. One, his almost death. The Dutch businessman gets his just desserts because Jay Hernandez kills him, just like the guy killed his friend, making him suffer, cut his fingers off, and then cut his throat. Then nice gore gags by Great Ninja Terror and group. I know one of the alternate endings, I think if you watch like a director's cut or some other cut, it has this other ending instead. But I prefer this ending more where, I just explained it. Because the other ending was Jay Hernandez, the Dutch businessman, has a daughter. And Jay Hernandez kidnaps the daughter and takes the daughter with him. something to symbolize, like, look how evil Jay Hernandez has become because of what these guys have done. And yeah, that was not the right call. Because despite him being a dick, you don't buy Jay Hernandez's character doing that to an innocent girl, kidnapping her and such. So this was much more of a, it was a audience pleasing moment. This is the moment where the audience cheers. And that's what I liked about the finale. It's kind of cheer-worthy audience participation flick. Yeah, those people got what they deserved and got his revenge, and he makes it out just fine. And that's where all you needed to do. And then Hostel 2 happens because Eli Roth smelled his own farts thanks to Quentin Tarantino and these other guys giving him a pass, giving him, pats on the back and on the shoulders. So he does the sequel, and he's like, I love misdirection. I did it in the first movie where you thought Derek Richardson would be the lead. I'm going to do more misdirection because I love Psycho. I love when they did that. So I'll go bring back Jay Hernandez, but then he dies 5 minutes later. And then it's pretty much Hostel 1, but with women instead of men. That's what Hostel 2 is. Kill off Jay Hernandez. I'm like, dude, it's not that much of a misdirection. It's pretty much Friday the 13th Part 2 over again. Eli Roth. I didn't like when they did in that either. But at least the rest of the movie I could deal with. Hostel 2 is just a boring, lame, don't give a shit about characters. And then that's when Eli Roth, oh, this is going to have the most controversial ending ever. I'm like, no, it didn't. She cuts a guy's dick off and feeds it to a dog. Most controversial ending ever? You serious? So again, the first 2/3 is meh. It's decent cinematography, some decent shots. Acting's not bad. The idea is not bad. It's just the way the characters are written, the way the humor is portrayed. Again, I'm sorry, Eli. Someone saying that person's gay 10 times doesn't make laughs. Unless you make it witty and funny in doing it. It just makes the character seem unlikable. But I would say it's when Derek Richardson's character, you get some nice makeup effects, he gets killed, and then when Jay Hernandez is by himself and trying to navigate this area by himself and where his friends are at, and he's by himself in this land where people barely understand his language, and he's wondering where he needs to go, and again, gets captured and makes his escape until the sequel where they kill him off. But yeah, I just ignore Hostel 2. Just I ignore Alien 3 and a lot of others. Now there was a Hostel 3 directed by Scott Spiegel, funny enough, who executive produced this. They weren't direct to video, and that wasn't much of a movie either. Sadly. Because I like Scott Spiegel. But Hostel 3 just wasn't, no. This did not need to be a franchise. I know the first film made some money. Also, this DVD cover sucks. I know it's an implement for the torture scenes, but this is a shitty cover. And like some covers try to rip off Maniac. Some covers just a guy sitting with like it looked like a fucking chain. I think it was a chainsaw. Like I said, I like the acting. I don't mind. Like Jay Hernandez is liked as an actor. The finale is fun and audience pleasing. With people, yeah, get him. That kind of reaction. But the writing is rather weak, especially for the characters. And I never found any types of scares or suspense. Except again that one little moment with Jay Hernandez and the American Businessman. And in the first 2/3, you just, this preamble just, I say 2/3, I would say a little over halfway to give more leniency. You're kind of like just waiting for the deer to kick in, which to me it did when it got to later in the film. It just, wish the first half was more, like when you watch the film, you go, why should you even watch the first half of the movie? You should fast forward it to the second half. And then, does that really make it a successful movie? Not really. But yeah, I can't say I hate the film either. Like I said, it's not a badly directed film. I think Eli Roth is a much worse writer than a director. But he got people like Quentin Tarantino on his side. That's why Tarantino would cast him in Inglourious Bastards as an actor, and he was in Death Proof. It's probably, I think he was in Django Unchained. I can't remember now. Might have been someone else. But yeah, Hostel, it's part of that torture porn craze, and I'm not a big torture porn type of guy. But like I said, I don't hate the film. It's okay, in my opinion. It's overall alright. But it needed much stronger writing of the characters. Did not make them so much frat boy douchebags. Because, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issue with it. But there are interesting ideas. Like I said, the whole idea of the Hostel thing, the American businessman scene at the third act, like I mentioned. Even the girls who lead our three leads around. The fact that they look so beautiful. And as the movie goes on, they kind of disintegrate the way they look. Where it's a lot less makeup and more babes under their eyes. And like their true colors are revealed, so to speak, as the movie goes on. I think that's actually a pretty interesting idea. Yeah, sorry about the clearing of the throat. But with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.